What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Off-Market Operator. Ruud-Johnson, I am your host. Today is another one of our rare guest features, you guys. We make sure we bring on incredible guests. My guest today, we recorded this live on my boat here in San Diego. We went over everything from his backstory to his entrepreneurial journey to how he got into real estate, the kind of real estate he buys, why he buys it, and how that has an impact on his life and his students' life. So I also dropped at the end of this video, guys, how you can get in contact with him. Make sure you do. He is the real deal.
People don't fail at real estate because they suck. They fail because there's too many ways to succeed. That's why I suggest you focus on the most important skill in all of real estate, which is finding deals. I'm Ruud-Johnson, and in this podcast, I share the exact steps I've used to source 400 deals by age 24. This will allow you to do three things: control your deal flow, make unlimited income, and build your empire as an off-market operator.
And on that point, man, there's a lot of points to digest there for the audience to make. I think a big thing there is what fascinates me about real estate. And I started in a different game where I started in the kind of flipping wholesale side. But no matter which, people get scared off of real estate because they think they need hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into it. Okay.
No.
What I found out with wholesaling was very similar to what you found out with Airbnb arbitrage. With you can have no money, pretty much nothing to your name, and by deploying your time, right, being on the phone. I don't know how the arbitrage world works. I'm going to ask in a second, but for the wholesaling side, if I get on the phone to the seller and I have nothing to my name, they don't know that. Right. I'm calling from a local real estate investment company. That's it. And if I find a house is beat up in my neighborhood, all I have to do is get a contract signed and sell that piece of paper, not the house. Sell that piece of paper to an investor for $20,000 to $80,000 fee. My biggest fee ever is $200,000 on a 2-week turnaround and signing fee. One check. And I mean, it sounds like it's scammy, right? Because it doesn't sound real, but it's real. And same thing as Airbnb arbitrage. I saw you put out a post one time on this ranch style home you wanted to buy.
Yeah, that one that went viral and everybody was...
Yeah, and everyone was freaking out. And I was like, no, who cares what term he used? What he's showing people is real estate is what most people in our society end up putting their money.
Right.
No matter how they make their money, they figure out if they want to keep their money. It's in hard assets. It's in real estate, and that has the tax benefits, everything like that. So a question for you, for the people listening, is on the Airbnb arbitrage side. If I have 10 grand in my, so let's give you an actual example. If I have 10 grand in my name, and I'm 22 years old, I'm fresh out of college, I have all the time in the world, I have 10 grand, I have no rent, I'm living at my parents' house. How do I go, one, source my first Airbnb arbitrage property? How do I negotiate with the person that owns that property? What can I expect to make? What are the pitfalls that people tend to fall in? You can give me just a 3 to 5 minute overview of what advice you would give me if I was in that situation. I think people would love that.
Sure, yeah. So you're 22 years old, you have $10,000 to your name, and you're looking to get started investing in real estate, or hell, even just make any kind of money in anywhere, right? Yeah. Airbnb arbitrage is without a doubt 100% the best stepping stone and the best tool to make money in real estate when you're just getting started. And here's why I say that. Wholesaling is a little bit different, right? You have to be dialing people 24/7. Yep. It's a rugged game, it's very stressful. With this Airbnb arbitrage game, let's first talk about what Airbnb arbitrage is. This is when we're renting out a long-term property, we're signing a long-term lease, and then we're getting the landlord's legal and written agreement that we can sublease their property however we like, as a short-term rental, as a medium-term rental, however we like. So that's people's first question all the time. Is it illegal? Yeah, it's illegal if you don't tell the landlord, if you don't make the agreement. Yep. Well, then the next question people have, well, why would a landlord ever let you do that? You know as well as I do, there's two different reasons. Number one, they don't want to, and number two, they don't know how to. And I'll give you a great example. If I'm a 70-year-old landlord and I've been renting this house out forever, and this house, I have it on Zillow, and it's been on the market for 3 months. Every single month, I'm having to put money out of my pocket into this mortgage, right? Because it's not being rented. So I'm 70 years old. I just want somebody to take the freaking lease, sign the lease for me. And so if you can present this as an opportunity for them and you being helpful to them, this whole process works a lot easier. And so that's what I teach a lot of people, is how to frame this concept to people, not like, hey, I'm going to turn your house into a party house on Airbnb, but hey, let's work together. You help me, I help you. I will take great care of this house. I'm backed by a $3 million insurance policy through air cover. I have people cleaning the house 4 to 5 times a week, yada, yada, yada. So how it would work is something like this. I always suggest to people open up an LLC. Step number one, open up an LLC. Finding the properties is the easy part. But from a business structure standpoint, you want to open up your business, your LLC. That way you can go get a business bank account. That way you can go get business credit, right? From there, what you're going to do is to source the properties. Very simple. You're going to look for properties for rent, whether it be on Facebook Marketplace, whether it be on Zillow, rent.com. This works anywhere in the country, anywhere international as well, anywhere that Airbnb operates.
So there's no states, cities that you know of that have it's prohibited to, because all you're doing, right, just to simplify it, is kind of like in the wholesale model, we're getting a contract with a right to assign that contract.
Correct.
And we're telling the seller we have the right to assign this agreement to another buyer.
Right.
Somewhere here you're getting a lease agreement with a seller, with a property owner, with the right to sublease that however you want.
Right.
And you're communicating that.
Yeah.
So then there's not going to be any kind of regulation against that, no matter where you are, as long as there's no short-term rental regulation.
So let's talk about regulations. So let's just say that I toured this house with you and you're the landlord.
Yep.
Hey man, absolutely love your house. I think it'd be a great fit for my business. So let's just say that, you're the landlord and I'm pitching it to you. We just went through your house and, toured it around, or we're on the phone or email, whatever it is. Hey man, I absolutely love your house. I think it'd be a great fit for my business. You go over the details of the business model. You comfort them with all the, we have scripts, right? We use the scripts. So once we get the house like under contract, the only thing that matters though is when you're doing due diligence is understanding rules and regulations in the city, each city and each county and each state different, and so in terms of regulations, each city is different, each county is different. You also have HOAs. You got to stay away from HOAs, because the HOAs are the one thing that's going to screw you. If you go to like a Palm Springs or whatever, and you're in this old person's community, and they have this HOA that says no short-term rentals, there's no way around it. You just cannot do it. So there are ways around this, and this is a fantastic point that I want to cover. One of the best pieces of advice that I can give to people around rules, regulations, and all these things that you see, besides like Hawaii, right? Because Oahu has these really strict, like 180-day, this ban on short-term rentals, medium-term rentals. The two best strategies I've seen for getting around short-term rental laws is doing medium-term rentals, which is 30 nights or longer, right? So and you market these as corporate housing. So corporate stays, people that are traveling nurses, traveling doctors. There is a market for this. There is a need for this, and their companies give them a stipend, and then they pay for them to stay wherever they need to stay for a short amount of time, right? People that are working on TV shows and stuff, they're just there for 4 or 5 months, 3 months. Insurance companies, your house burns down on fire, they got to go put you in a house for 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. So that's one way to get around it. So that's like New York City, LA, parts of LA, Chicago, anywhere that there's a short-term rental ban, that's the way you can get around it. The second way that we found that's a fantastic way to, and this is one of the best points that I can teach people when doing research on short-term rentals. Do not be afraid of like certain rules and regulations. Now, let me give you a great example. I cannot remember if it's Savannah, Georgia, or Charlotte, but either way, my roommate, who's got a good job, I think he's maybe making like $80,000 per year, $90,000 per year. He's ready to invest in his first rental property. He's living with me. Of course, he's like, dude, can you get me in this Airbnb game? Fantastic, I'd love to help you out. So I teach him how to source the properties. We're using Zillow, and then we're running them on AirDNA, which is a tool that we use, the rentalizer tool that tells us, based on the zip code, based on the city, how much this property should make on Airbnb. It's semi-accurate, so it's a good measure as to how much you'd make. So he finds these properties, and he's like, man, but the rules and the regulations. I go, no. Here's what you got to do. Call 5 real estate agents in the area. Call 5 real estate agents in the area and ask them, because they're the expert, not you, and not this on this city municipal website. They know the deal. They know that if they're actually going out and grabbing people, they know that, oh, by the way, so here's what ends up happening. I wish I knew exactly what city it was so I could tell you, so that this would be a good hit. But basically he calls around, 2 or 3 agents don't know what they're doing. 2 of them know exactly what they're doing, and they both said the same thing. Oh no, man, you just have to stay away from downtown. Stay away from downtown. If you do anything on these outer little islands, you're good. And it's still considered, I want to say that the term was unincorporated Savannah or unincorporated Charlotte, whatever it was. So now he's going out to buy his first Airbnb in that area with a 72% occupancy. And what's the fantastic thing about this is...
Buying it or arbitrage?
He's buying one. But you could do either or, it doesn't matter. The concept still works the same. What that does is, when people are like, oh no, it's banned there. Well, here's what it does. It actually limits the supply, but it doesn't limit the amount of the demand of people that are still coming there. So you're having an increase in demand and a decrease or a stagnation of supply. And what's happening is the price per night and the occupancy rates continues to go up. So he's going to have probably a 72% occupancy rate with like a $450, $375 to $450 per night average on his property out there, and crush it. Only because so many people, if he would have just stuck to what he's read online, he would have been not investing there.
So question for you on that, personal question for me, selfish question, because a lot of the sentiment I feel like from people, and I'm pretty integrated into the real estate space, people online around Airbnb, is that we've gone into kind of a Airbnb correction. I have some buddies that were having an Airbnb that have moved out and now they're looking into like other things, assisted living,
Totally.
Section 8, all that kind of stuff, which they all have their headaches. And that's the thing, people watching this, like every single thing has their own complexity. That's why I always recommend choosing something and being in it for 18 months.
In it.
So you can really understand all the nuances and not jump ship every single month when it gets a little bit hard. But for you, man, what is your take on, okay, I go and I do an Airbnb arbitrage, Louisville, Kentucky. I found a nice part of town. People like to vacation. I have a homeowner. Let's do two examples that I sign a lease with, a year-long lease. All of a sudden, a new regulation comes out in the market. After I sign that lease, I'm on a year-long lease. I can no longer short-term rental that property. I'm stuck with a lease. Second scenario, I go buy a house, right? And stuff's trading based on a short-term rental market, like in Mission Beach here, where they've changed the rules and it's a lottery, and only 10% of people have a short-term rental license. So if I owned a property here in Mission Beach and I bought it when stuff was trading based on short-term rental, everyone can short-term rental, and now I buy it, and 6 months later, it comes out that I no longer can short-term rental, and now my property is trading at a different price. What do I do? Like, how do I mitigate that risk in both those scenarios?
So let's just talk about the downside risk of both, right? So the downside risk of Airbnb arbitrage is, yes, if a city goes in and bans it and says no more short-term rentals, what are you going to do? Well, you have a couple of different options. Number one, you can do midterm rentals like we talked about. So 30 nights or longer. So midterm stays, completely transition it. All you have to do on Airbnb or VRBO is change your minimum night stay to 30 nights, and you can use other apps and other websites where you can go find these corporate clients and go find people for these corporate stays. The second thing that you can do is, remember, you signed a lease, so that allows you to sublease the property. That doesn't just mean short term. You can go sublease the property and relist it online and say, hey, look, long-term lease. I got a month. I got a year and 6 months. Who wants it? Just for the exact same price that you're in it for, and cover it. Very worst case scenario, you're shit out of luck and you break the lease. That's it. You break the lease, you eat the cash that you're out, and it is what it is. So those are the downside risks. Now the upside risk is that if you do due diligence properly and if you've done the right research, you'll know. I always tell my students, go see if you're really thinking about investing into an area. We're not half-assing any of this stuff. Like, go see what the city's been doing. If they're in talks and there's some big city council meeting that's coming up to decide the fate, like San Diego's been all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So, do the research there. Otherwise, the places that I invest are places that literally there's zero chance that they're going to ban it. Zero chance.
Red states.
Yeah. I invest, in red states.
Political, but red states.
In red states. Yeah. And, there's always little nuances, but places where people continue to travel and have been traveling for 100 plus years.
Yeah.
And the vacation rental market runs their economy. So.
Love it, man. Yeah, that's the number one question that I have. I'm sure a lot of people have when they come to you is, what is my downside risk? So moving into, man, like a little higher level here, okay? So scaling an Airbnb business. Okay, I'm not talking about buying your first property. Let's say, hey, I want to build a $500,000 a year, $1 million a year business. What profit margins am I looking at reasonably, conservatively? How do I get there? What hires do I need to make? What kind of team do I need to build? If I want to build $1 million Airbnb business over the next 3 to 5 years, assuming all the facts right now around the Airbnb, the regulations stay the same, what do I have to do?
Right, yeah. So, for me personally, I went from a $0 a year Airbnb business to a $2.2 million a year revenue Airbnb business in, 2.5 years. And so, and I spend about 15, again, like I was saying earlier, I spend about 15 minutes per week managing it. People are going to say, how? It's impossible. Not when you hire and delegate, because at some point you have to understand that Airbnb is not, it's a hospitality business.
It's a mini hotel.
It's a mini hotel. It's a hospitality business. It's not real estate. So like any business, you have to start in the mud, do it yourself to understand how to do everything, and then start building systems and operations and hires to start buying your time back. And so as I started to get more and more Airbnb properties, I was looking at, okay, who do I need to hire? What do I need to do? What are the systems? And so the first things first is, for me, I wanted to do, I self-manage all my properties except for one, because I saved 20% by just, shit.
We're good.
Good?
Save the camera. So you know we're really here. It's not a green screen.
So I self-manage all my properties, and that's something that I'm like, except for one, which I'm proud of, because I make an extra 20% on those properties that wouldn't be given to a property manager that doesn't know shit else what they're doing. So most importantly is doing the business yourself. With Airbnb arbitrage, there's two different ways to scale it. I scaled with, and I didn't scale too big. I just did it for kind of proof of concept. But I liked the idea of less properties, more quality, and more money, but less headaches.
Yep.
There's also people out there that teach a model where they go acquire 10, 15, 20 units from an apartment complex at a time, go furnish all of them. They get 4.5, 4.3 ratings on Airbnb. They're making shit margins, but they have a bulk of houses. They go and hire virtual assistants to handle all the communications. They hire a property manager in each city. And it's just not how I like to do my business. How I scaled my business was I chose two main locations, right? I chose Tennessee and Florida, and then two different communities in each. And what I did was I only started buying and doing, arbitrage and stuff in these communities because I built a team there, and the team is the most important part.
Yep.
So in order to self-manage a property, you need honestly 1 to 2 great cleaning teams and 1 to 2 great handymen in the area. And if you have that, then you're able to kind of, have this business run itself because you're in open line of communication with them every single day. From there, I was the one communicating with them, right? And so I'm going back and forth with them. I ended up hiring my mom to do that. Right, so I hired my mom to do that. We're in the process of adding some virtual assistants. The problem with a lot of my houses is they're uber luxury. Like I'm in the luxury space now, and there's just the headache that comes with having to deal with those people. You can't just have this automated response for your 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in Nashville. These houses sleep 31 people. So you just need somebody who's hands-on, and so that's what I did. So I hired my project manager. You want a property manager in-house, and you only need one of them, virtual assistants, and then cleaning teams and handyman teams on the ground, pool cleaners if you need them, every position that you would need to essentially automate this business. And so yeah, again, like what I do at the end of the week, basically, or the beginning of the week, depending on the week, is just a 15, 20-minute call or lunch or brunch or whatever with my mom and dad. I'm like, okay, how's operations going? What do we need to do? That way it allows me to keep working on sourcing and finding more properties, my coaching business, right? My coaching business, and create content so that I can add value to people and
It's a perfect segue. So I got 3 more questions for you. The next question I want you to just segue into yourself is, you built an incredible brand for yourself with low volume, high quality videos that all kind of paint a picture and take people on a story. If I was brand new into business, I don't have a huge brand, I have a decent brand, but the people that are coming up, they're doing cool stuff in business, they want to start communicating that to the world and building a brand. What are maybe 3 things you would tell them, or 3 things you would do if you had to start over on social media to build a brand? It doesn't have to be every platform, but an overall breakdown of your strategy and what you would recommend to someone if you're consulting them just purely on brand building around what they do.
That's a great question, man. I think about this a lot, and people ask like friends ask me a lot because they're interested in getting started with creating a brand online. How did you do it? And I'm like, I really just started by first you have to get over the hump of like putting content out.
Yeah.
Start putting content out. And I know it's shitty advice, but it is true because
it's a friction, and for me it was too. And all of a sudden there's a video that happens, or 2 videos that happen where you just stop caring. You have to get past.
So, or you could do what I did in the beginning. I didn't show my face. So there's ways around it. But essentially, what you need to do, and what I would do if I was creating a brand now, is kind of come up with what it is, especially if we're talking about for making money online. The money. Let me shoot it to you straight. These YouTubers don't know what the fuck they're doing because all of their money comes from brand deals and sponsorships. That is not where money comes from. I don't take on any brand deals. I haven't done any sponsorships ever, not one time.
It waters down what you do.
It waters down what you do. Why would you not create your own product? Hey, if you're like if you're teaching people about, like, people come in with weird stuff all the time. Hey man, like I'm a dermatologist. Like what do I do? I'm like, dude, create your own product. You've got 17 million followers on TikTok and you're making $18,000 a month and you're just getting sponsored by Neutrogena. Go create your own brand and sell it and market the shit out of it. Or bodybuilding guys, or you name it. So realistically, what you want to do is have something that you're absolutely passionate about and knowledgeable about. That's number one.
So actually do something.
Go out and go do something. If you're teaching people about bodybuilding, but you look like a fat ass, then what? There's 0 point. Yeah, I mean, I see this all the time. People are like, dude, how do I'm doing this bodybuilding thing. everything. I'm like, you don't look like a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to be rude, but you got to get in shape first. People have to want to look like you. So the trick with that is you have to go out and do something that people would be interested in learning about, or something that you're so passionate about that you don't even care if people pay you money. You just want to post because you have the education, you've already done the research, and you want to share it with people. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is find out who the best people in your industry are that are doing it, and reverse engineer all of their top videos and figure out why they went viral. Study it. Study everything about it. Study the hooks, study the call to action, study their funnels, study everything that they do. There is no reinventing the wheel. Everybody's doing the same fucking shit. They're just doing it a different way. Your website's blue, mine's green. Your ClickFunnels is this, my ClickFunnels is that. Your top of funnel is YouTube, my top of funnel is TikTok. And then really start to understand how these different social medias operate, right? So here's how it works. TikTok is, I have 1.3 or 1.4 million followers on TikTok. The only thing that matters on TikTok is not followers at all. Followers don't matter. The only thing that matters is that you get on the For You page, and then what you do with it when you get on that For You page. Because people don't go on TikTok to look at their following that much. What they do is they go up on their For You page and they scroll, and they aimlessly scroll. And I always tell people, think of TikTok or Instagram, any of this short form content. If you're the user, if you're yourself, if you could have an outer body experience watching yourself on TikTok, your thumb is like a fucking pistol cocked back, ready to just give me one reason to swipe so I can see the next thing. Give me one fucking reason, get some weird shit on my feed, and then I'll swipe. But what happens is people start going viral and they don't know how to capitalize on it. So always be prepared for
it's not an ebook, or it's like what is your direct recommendation on there for TikTok specifically? What is
so for a TikTok, like what I would do is, if anything, either direct them to Instagram or if you don't have anything else going for you. If you're on stage 1, direct people to Instagram. So here's a great example. I would have a video like, here's the top 3 ways to get started in Airbnb, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, I'd say, hey, and if you want to learn more about getting started with Airbnb, hit the link in my bio, go follow my Instagram. I'm doing this, and that, and I'm doing free giveaways every week. Give me some reason to get off of this app and go do anything.
Call to action.
Because otherwise, you get a 500,000 view video, a million view video. And what did it do for you? If it didn't make you any money and you're in the space of let's make some fucking money, then what did it do for you? It did nothing for you. So understand that with TikTok.
And I found that too, like no one really watches TikTok stories, or they don't hang, you can't really nurture them on TikTok. So you have that video that hits, and I had videos that had 700,000-800,000 views.
Right.
And if I don't have a call to action, nothing comes there, because they're not coming back to my page to look at more stuff. They're not clicking on the link in my bio.
Right.
They want to see on that video what do I want them to do.
The other thing that I would recommend not doing is, Ryan Pineda and what a lot of these other guys do. And this is no hate to Ryan. I like Ryan, but these guys they're copying this Hormozy style playbook, which Alex Hormozy comes out and said, and he runs this marketing game now, and he's the guy, right, that everybody looks up to, the $100 million man, all this stuff. And his content's great because he actually went out and fucking did it.
Yeah.
He did it for 6 years. So he can make a million billion videos saying the same shit twice, but you're like, dude, I respect the hell out of you. What doesn't work though is sitting down and filming 40, 50 reels or TikToks in a day, and then and uploading them with the same text as everybody else.
Yeah.
You have to be able to differentiate yourself in this market. That's how I've been able to capitalize on doing less videos, but making more money.
Quality more than volume.
Than 99.999% of these guys. So quality over quantity, and if you can get to a point where you can do a quantity of quality, then that's great, fantastic. So TikTok, that's what TikTok is. YouTube is the best for nurturing people long term. If you can understand the YouTube game, which I still haven't mastered yet, then you can crush it, because these people, between YouTube and podcasts, you're in people's ears for a long period of time, and you build this trust. And so that's the biggest thing with selling online, is you have to get people to trust you, to feel like they know you, and to just genuinely like you. So that doesn't mean just only showing your wins. That means showing your losses. That doesn't just mean showing good testimonials. It means showing shitty parts of your life. It means talking about struggles. It means being vulnerable, relatable, and not giving a fuck, dude. Like really not giving a fuck. And so I talk how I talk. My dad worked in the prison. I cuss. It is what it is.
Yeah.
People call it crazy,
Frozen.
but I can get 67% of people, 65% of people to show up to an online webinar, which is double what everybody else is doing, because I'll text people and be like, oh shit, I think I sent the wrong link. You know what I mean? And people are like, oh, that's weird. Blake texted me, oh shit. And I'm sending it out to 20,000 people. So long story short, there's a million different ways to go about it, but TikTok that's how you do TikTok. Use Instagram as the place to to sell. So Instagram is where you do your sales through Instagram stories. Use Instagram stories as a nurture sequence, a long-term nurture sequence for people. So every single day they get an invite into your life, what you're doing, what you're building. Use Instagram posts as reels and just regular, reposting tweets that are popular to kind of just get that virality going. But at the end of the day, where you're going to do all of your sales is through Instagram stories.
Cool, man. Well, there's one more thing I'm going to do to wrap up the show. I have one more question for you. I'm going to record this live 2 different places.
Cool.
So I'm going to jump up. This is my favorite question to ask. I got to turn my gray filters off. That ever happened to you, dude? I turn my color filters or whatever off.
Oh, yeah, just so you don't look at the phone all day?
No, I do it on accident somehow. But I want to do this, man, real quick. There we go. Let's start it this way. We are live on the boat today with Mr. 4-8 Blake Rocha.
Yes, sir.
And we got one more question for him, Mr. Blake. What is the definition of success for you, man?
The definition of success for me, if I can impact as many people's lives as possible in the short amount of time that I'm on Earth, whether that be through the money that I've made or through sharing my message online about health, about real estate, about my experience with the church and with Christ and all that stuff. That is my definition of success. When I see these people that reach back out to me and say, "Hey, man, you absolutely changed my life. This, your message has impacted me. I've made a change, in whatever way it may be." That's when I feel the most accomplished in terms of like feeling like I really, was successful on this earth. When I leave, I want people to remember the impact that I left on them through, my message.
Beautiful. Good stuff. Where can people get in contact with you? The best place for them to see the show, to reach out to you, get into the Airbnb game. How can they get into following you and your groups, whatever you have to offer?
Yeah. So if you're interested in getting started with Airbnbs or just following me in general, you can follow me on Instagram. That's the best place, at Mr. 428, spelled out MR-FOURTOEIGHT. I'm on Twitter at Mr. 428 as well. And yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast, man. Appreciate
Absolutely,
you.
man. Cool. What's up, guys? Thanks for hanging out for the last 30, 45 minutes, however long it was with Blake and I. I'm pumped to bring you guys this show. We went deep into all kinds of different stuff. And this is a different format we're going to do. Probably going to do 1 or 2 of these a month on the boat here with amazing guests that have a lot to bring that I verify and make sure it's the real deal. So as always, wherever you listen to the show, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen, whether you're on the treadmill, in the car, please give me a like or a subscribe. A share on your story, a DM means the world, you guys. I do listen to your feedback and make sure we're curating this to what you guys need to hear. So as always, like I always say, you're only one deal away.